everyone. We are the Gratitude Girls.
The Gratitude Girls are in the house. Hi, Lori. How are you?
Great. Hi, Catherine.
You know what? I'm a little choked up tonight because I'm a little nervous about our guest, but we'll get to her in a minute. Just so excited. Lori, it's great to see you. And I can't believe the month went by so fast. And here we are again. So for our new viewers and for our guests tonight, welcome. To our regular viewers, thank you so much for tuning back in with us. I'll do an introduction while Lori is setting up the tech. My name is Catherine Asaro Myers, affectionately known as Rara's in the house. I'm broadcasting to you live tonight from beautiful Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, Canada. In case I haven't mentioned it, I'm a Brooklyn, New York girl, and I'm here in Canada for over 3 decades. So it's really hard to take the New York out of the girl, but I am definitely sitting in lovely Canada. I'm sitting with my amazing partner who has very busy fingers right now. Lori, can you talk, or would you like me to introduce you?
Yes, I can. Yes, I am Lori Del Credecchi. I am in a little tiny town outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
Well, Lori and I are here tonight to provide you with a really amazing show and an interview with a wonderful woman. We'll get into interviewing her in just a moment. We're just going to ask Tracy to hang out for a bit. And if you don't know how Lori and I ended up here on this stage, we'd like to tell you a little bit about it. Lori she tells the story really great. I'll just sort of start it and open it up. I'm really honored to be able to be sitting here with Lori for 10 years. Like, it's 10 years. That's crazy. Where did that go? Went like that. I remember the day we met, and we met in Salt Lake City, Utah. Maybe, Lori, you want to tell a little bit about how that looked from your end, how we met?
Sure, yes. So Catherine and I are both part of a direct sales company, and each year our company has an award, like a theme for the company, and an award at the convention theme. And so one year back in early of 2013, our theme was gratitude. And so our CEO gets up on stage and he talks about all the different accolades and attributes of the person that's going to win. And he called Catherine up on stage. So I am the techie person. I'm in the back. I'm taking video. I'm taking pictures, doing all kinds of things. And then after Catherine is done with her little award, then our CEO says, but this year, for the first time ever, we have a tie. And so he starts telling about the second person. And so he ended up calling me, and it's totally unexpected. Like, a lot of awards in different companies, you know what you're going to get, but this award, you never know who's going to get it. And so Catherine and I actually met on stage in front of thousands of people. We are actually cross-lined to each other. If you know what that means, you can always message us. We are cross-lined to each other, and we met on stage, but it was like one of those things that's kind of like, you know how they say love at first sight. So it was kind of like that, but as friends and business partners. And we didn't know what was going to happen, but we knew that there's always a reason for something. So there's no coincidences, right? There's always a reason for everything that happens in life. And so literally within like 2 minutes, Gratitude Girls was born. We didn't know what we were going to do with it yet. And here we are, fast forward almost 10 years later. And we've been doing these incredible interviews every single month.
I remember the day that I was on stage and you were called up. And I just want to say this because some people don't know this about you. Lori received many accolades from our company for the person who gave the most gifts. Now, imagine being recognized for the biggest gift giver. And I thought, what would it be like to get a gift from Lori? Someone who gets recognized for that must be doing that every single day. And what kind of heart would she have? So when I met Lori, I thought, I'm meeting an icon. That's really what I thought. Here she is. I'm standing next to her. I'm so excited. I'm holding her hand. I'm walking down the stage with her. And what do you think Lori does minutes after we meet? She gives me a gift. And I'm still looking at that gift oh my gosh, like 7 houses later in 10 years. So I'm still looking at that gift. And I understand, Lori, why you were recognized and are recognized for being the biggest gift giver because of the heart that you have. And it's really such a pleasure to share this stage and to develop this sisterhood, this sistership and friendship that we have, that when a guest does come anywhere within a football field of us, hopefully they get to feel what we experienced that day, and we get to relive it every single show every month. So thank you so much. And Lori, if I may I introduce Tracy? Is that okay with you?
Sure. Yes.
Or would you like to?
It's okay. Either one. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. I know that you just met, so I would like to do this if it's all right. And maybe I'll do part and you'll do the other part, because you can tell something juicy about Tracy. Tracy Rodgers McCauley, thank you so much for being here, and welcome to the Gratitude Girls show. Tracy's direct sales has been such a huge part of her life. Starting 34 years ago as a consultant, she saw the potential of what could be possible. After representing many different companies in the field and 9 years of experience as a corporate VP of training, she was ready to take a break. Tracy became a merchant marine and enjoyed her job on a ferry, working in the breathtaking area of the San Juan Islands. That must have been beautiful. In 2017, her dream of joining a startup company and being on the ground floor brought her back her passion for direct sales, and she jumped in with both feet. So she was so glad that she did. Not so she was so glad. Tracy discovered personal development and how important it is for an entrepreneur. Her team grew to 45,000 strong and had over $400 million in sales. Tracy is the first to promote to Diamond, the company's highest recognition, as well as the first millionaire in the company. In 2022, she took her experience, her knowledge, her passion, and started her own network marketing company with a culture that is unique to the industry. Lori, would you like to add something to Tracy's introduction?
Yes, y'all will just be so excited to hear Tracy. I got the pleasure of speaking on stage with her at an event last weekend. We were both in Phoenix, Arizona at the first Momentum Makers $1 Million workshop and training. And it was, her story is so incredible. She has an incredible vibe. And when I found out that we had a break in our schedule, we're normally booked out over a year in advance for these shows for people that want to be on them, and something came up, and every once in a while that happens where a speaker can't be on. And so we had an opening, and I was just, Catherine let me know, and I was like, I've got the perfect person. Let me see if she's available. And luckily she was. Welcome, Tracy.
Divine.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, Tracy. Thank you so much for being here. Talk about divine timing. That's everything, right? Can you tell us a little bit about it? Tell our audience what part of the world you're in today?
So I live in North Idaho, Coeur d'Alene, right on a lake. And I've been here since September of 2020. Before that, I lived on a little island north of Seattle for about 51 years.
Amazing. Well, Tracy, your bio is just brings so many questions. What is it that drives you?
Well, now or when I started?
Okay. All right. Let's talk about today, and then you can always go back.
I think just what really drives me is wanting success for so many people and being able to offer them the for success. And, we get knocked down a lot as women, especially men as well. Like we just kind of live right now where things are kind of tough. And to be able to offer people an opportunity to make a little bit of extra money, if that would help them financially, or to change their lives and make life-changing money. So it drives me to be able to be in an industry where that's available. And a lot of times that vehicle may not be with me or my company, but that vehicle might be with somebody else. And I think what's most important is that we're all trying to get to the same place, which is financial freedom and time freedom. And we all have a different vehicle to get there in. And I love the idea that, like when I met Lisa, that a lot of us are getting together, we're collaborating and getting to know each other, so that if something isn't a fit for what I'm doing, I'm going to go, hey, you might want to talk to my friends. So back to that, what drives me is just being able to offer people a chance to change their life in a huge impact, or just to be able to, like right now, pay for gas because it's out of control. So it drives me just to be able to give people an opportunity. And also it brings a lot of personal growth and self-development. And I think that that's really, really important to people. And this is the type of industry that allows that to happen.
Well, Tracy, thank you for sharing that. You talked about the distinction between now and before. So let's talk about before for a second. What drove you then? And what's the difference between, what are we talking about, 34 years ago? Like give us some time frame when you started.
Well, 34 years ago when I started, I was a single mom, had 4 kids, and there wasn't that many companies available. There's only about 5 or 6. That was the dinosaur days. And I just wanted to be able to make some money and stay home with my kids, and not because daycare would have cost more than what I would have made with 4 kids. And so I dabbled in direct sales, and I would get to a certain level of medium success. But I wasn't willing to go out of my comfort zone and do the things that I needed to do to be more successful. Like, it was really easy for me to build a decent sized team just with my own personality. But to go further than that, I needed to step out of my comfort zone. And at that time I wasn't willing to. And so we'll fast forward to 4.5 years ago, when I started with my former company that was Ground Floor. What drove me was I was in a position that I had lost everything and found myself homeless. Long story, but that drove me. And it drove me to see an opportunity and know that it worked for a lot of people. And the only reason it didn't work for me is because I wasn't willing to go out of my comfort zone, and because it was really safe inside that little circle. So what drove me was my circumstances to think I work full time and I've lost everything. And if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. So when I saw this opportunity, I was driven to go out of my comfort zone, do what I needed to do with personal development and make a change. So,
well, Tracy, thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about the going out of your comfort zone. So some of our audience tonight might say, well, I'm out of my comfort zone, or how far is out of your comfort zone? And then let's sort of pair that with, when you say personal development, can you be specific? Did you hire a coach? Did you hire a coach that you never thought you would hire? Did you, like reach and push yourself? So let's talk about that. What was pushing yourself out of your comfort zone?
Actually doing a lot of the work. Like, it's easy to call a couple of people. It's easy to do that until you get a couple of no's, and then you start backpedaling, and, because rejection stings. So I had to push myself to be committed to myself. And when I said I was going to make 10 phone calls a day, I was going to make 10 phone calls a day. So I had to push myself to be committed and have my non-negotiables. And I had to push myself to realize, the things that I was or wasn't doing in the past and what I needed to change. And so I did get into personal development. The first book I read was You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, however you say her name, Sincero, the yellow book. And because I knew I needed to get this right, I had a lot of baggage, being 56 years old and losing everything I had. And it can happen to anybody. If you don't have 6 months of income and savings, it could happen to you, trust me. So I had to get rid of a lot of baggage. So that was the first book I read. And then my first book that I got was Rob Sperry, The Game of Networking. So I just started pouring myself into books, and I would listen to podcasts before I fell asleep, and when I got up, and on my break, and when I was walking my dog. And I just filled my head with as much positive as I could. There were, obviously I made time, for prayer and the Bible in the morning, because that got my day off started. But to fill my mind in a mental business capacity, I needed to train it. And so I started my training, and it wasn't until that's how I paid for my coaches. My coaches at that time were books and podcasts. And then when I started to make some money, then I did hire personal coaches to coach me every week.
Right. Thank you. So when you were developing your mindset, is the way I hear it, right? You knew that that was the difference between just making a few phone calls and, like you said, making 10 phone calls. So for somebody who's watching tonight, who's thinking, I'm doing the bare minimum, or, I'm making those 10 phone calls and nothing's happening. Can you give us the edge that you had that really allowed you to go beyond? So you made 10 phone calls. Did you leave 10 messages? Did you reach 10 people? Right? Somebody in the audience here tonight might just think, well, I can relate to that, but let's give them the real thing of what you did.
So I had a list of 120 people that I wanted to call in about 12 days, which is about 10 people a day. So my goal was 10 people a day. My list had 120 people in it. And back when we started, we weren't allowed to put anything in writing. So the only way we could tell somebody about it was either a phone call or, face to face. So I had to call people. And so I called 10 people every single day. And I will say that, do I enjoy that? No, I don't enjoy it. Did I look for reasons or excuses to maybe get out of it some calls? Yeah, maybe I would even try to let my phone die. I'm going, oh, I only have 10%, but then I'd plug it in. But I tell you, on the fourth day, when I was doing my phone calls, I was on my 9th phone call. And it was I'll shorten this, but it was a really ugly phone call. It was a very rejecting phone call. It stung, it hurt. She said some things that were true, and she said some things that weren't true, but it really hurt me. And when I got off the phone, I remember thinking, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need this. I've already recruited 4 people. I'm just going to let this grow organically. If they want to do it, they'll do it. They'll see it on Facebook. I don't need this kind of rejection in my life. And I was talking myself out of it, forgetting what my vision and what my dream was. And so I grabbed my dog that I had at the time, and we went for a walk, and I shook it off. And when I came back, I thought, you know what? I have one more phone call to make. I have one more call. And so I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna be true to myself. I don't want to make this call. I don't want anything to do. I just want to go eat. I want to eat 3 pieces right now. I just wanted to walk away from it. But I made that 10th phone call, and she said yes. And from that one yes, it created a lineage, a leg that was huge with our team. And it changed the trajectory of my business. And so, that taught me a big lesson, that no matter how many no's we get, no matter how crushed we are, don't stop, because that next phone call could be something big. And then I realized I didn't die. I didn't die. I had hurt feelings, but you know what? To this day, it's been 4.5 years, almost 5 years. I don't remember the person's name that caused me so much heartache and grief with that 9th phone call, but I sure remember the 10th person that I called. And so, you just you've got to put the emotions aside sometimes. You need to realize that don't take it personal. They're not saying no to you. They're just saying no to the opportunity, or no, not now. But when we learn not to take it personal, and when we learn that it has nothing to do with us, then it makes it a lot easier to make those phone calls and reach out and talk to people.
Right. That's so helpful to be able to hear you say that. Some people might be curious, what is a day in the life now? You share the part that you feel comfortable with. Is there anything? You just tell us, what is it like? What time do you wake up?
So,
right.
Well, up until 2/22/22, it's gotten a lot more chaotic right now, but September of 2020, my husband and I moved to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, North Idaho, and we bought a house on a 1/2 acre on the lake with a private dock. So we have an incredible piece of paradise up here. Never thought I'd be living on a lake and look out my windows and there it was, but here I am. And life was honestly pretty good. I worked my business, but I worked really, really hard the first couple of years. I did put in the 10 and 12-hour days in the beginning for a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. But it got to the point where I could put in 25, 30 hours at the most, right? And I could work from wherever I was. So whether that was, here at the lake house or traveling, or we bought a motorhome, to take the dogs when they, I don't like flying without my dogs. So we bought a motorhome so we can take them. So it was nice. I mean, it was, not only was my lifestyle really comfortable, but so many other people that I was able to help and train and work with and encourage, their lifestyles had changed as well. Whether that was not having to worry about their washer and dryer breaking down because they had the money to either get it fixed or get a new one, or whether they were able to leave an abusive marriage and start all over. So, but my life was, it was, fun. It is fun. I travel a lot and I speak on stages a lot and collaborate with people. And then it has gotten a little bit more busy because on February 22nd, I actually launched my very own company. So we're in pre-launch and we're really busy with that and it's really fun. But I find myself, back and forth between, our home office and here. But it's exciting and it's just, again, I'm driven to be able to give people the opportunity, to join us and to do something fun.
Well, it sounds exciting. Tracy, what about some of the guests that are listening tonight and thinking, do I need my whole family to support me? Do I need someone to say yay? Or what if my spouse or wife or husband says, what, you're working, we hear this, right? This is a business. You talked about long days. How do you sort of talk to yourself? And then what do you tell your teammates when they say they don't have that support at home?
That's really, I'm glad you brought that up because to be honest with you guys, I'm sure you could agree, most people that are doing this, they don't have the support of their family or their spouse, at least in the beginning, right? They don't. And so what I tell them, I can tell you how to get their support, but what I tell them is, hey, you know what? Walk the walk. And they will start to support you when they see, one, when they see income coming in, and two, when they see a change in you. And honestly, here's what I truly believe in 34 years. The reason our family or our husband or our mother doesn't support us, it's not because they don't believe in us. It's not because they don't want us to do this. I truly believe it's because they don't want us to be hurt. They want to protect us. And so they're trying they don't mean to be saying, oh, you don't want to do that. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Joe over here, he's got $42,000 worth of laundry detergent in his garage. It's not that they're trying to discourage us. They're trying to protect our hearts because they love us and care about us. So one of the things I found that works is to sit down and just have a conversation, just have a conversation. But I will tell you this, is that my mother was not supportive of me when I got into my last company. And the first thing she said was, when she found out I hid it for like 3 months, she said, because I did move in with my mom, she's like, don't quit your day job. Don't you dare quit your day job. And I was like, okay, mom, because she's done with direct sales. She just didn't, it wasn't her thing. But on my 4th month, when I made a huge 5-figure paycheck and showed her, she's like, well, honey, I think you need to quit your job. I think you need to dedicate your time to this business. So you know what I found out that worked, excuse me, is that when she started to see I was serious about the business and she started to see a change in my attitude and she started to see a big change in the income, she became supportive. So husbands or wives or whoever, they will support you when they see the money coming in, and they will support you when they see that you're truly vested in becoming better. Because I think for myself, I'm sure y'all can agree, I'm not the same person I was 34 years. I'm not the same person I was last year. I'm not the same person I was 4.5 years ago. And this business has helped me become a better me, a better leader, a better friend, a better mother, a better wife, a better grandmother. The personal development and being around like-minded, positive people like y'all, it's made me a better person. And so I think it's really common for people not to have people in their life that cheer them on, but they will cheer you on. And I think a lot of it we need to keep in mind, again, it's not that they're against us, they're just trying to protect us because they don't want us to get hurt. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's a really good point. And I'm glad that we were able to talk about that. You know, some people are lucky and they have a spouse or a partner that goes in business with them or does support them unconditionally. But when we don't know what we're supporting, you know, I guess it's like any other job. Imagine if your spouse comes home and you really don't know what it's about or you don't understand the industry. So if you don't give that unconditional rah-rah to them, so to speak, then, you know, it does take a conversation. Like you said, I think it makes a lot of sense. Like Lori and I are very blessed in that respect because we're communicators and we're able to communicate back and forth about that. But we do see this in many industries, but especially in this industry, right? Because you just hear so many stories. Lori, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my kid's dad, when he was here, I mean, he was like supportive as far as, oh, you can do what you want. Just don't talk to any of my coworkers' wives, basically. Right. He just wanted to make sure that, you know, that none of the, because we live in a really small town. So, you know, the small town gossip didn't go around, you know, but the same thing when, you know, when I was able to buy a brand new Excursion one year, and then I bought him a brand new Harley, and then I bought him a brand new Mustang. The tune kind of changed a little.
Yeah, it's true though, because they say, you know, walk the walk, because money talks with husbands. They want to see something coming in. Yeah.
You know, just you made me think about something. I sit in a room called my bridge room. That's what I call my office. And I make little jokes about my loving husband and say, can I have room service around 12 o'clock? Like, could I have a mango or whatever? And he'll come in and he'll say, is there anything that you want? And we laugh at each other because he does that to be so supportive of me. Or he'll say, do you want to come downstairs and have something, or shall I bring it to you? And he is right there cheering me on because he knows, he understands. We have the conversation. We talk about it. We talk about what the day brings, what the rewards are, what the trials and tribulations are, what the part about the day that maybe will give me a stomach ache because maybe I feel bad about something or someone. And he'll say, you just go right back, right? And I think it's really my responsibility to share what's going on so that he can learn that I can bounce back from it. Because if he sees me like falling apart, then he'll want to protect me, like you said, and he'll want to protect me by maybe feeding me or giving me something or taking me for a walk like we do our puppies. But if he knows that I'm resilient, he'll be like, let me go bring you a mango and you go back in your bridge room. You know, so he does support because I include him. And you're right, Tracy, it's important to have the conversations with the family members, let them know what we're working for or towards.
Right.
Yeah, Lori, I know you have some questions for Tracy.
Yeah. So, one, I want to, you know, I was so excited to hear you speak the other day, and just your story was incredible. And I'm glad you were able to share a little bit of it with us. And so this is, of course, the Gratitude Girl Show. So, you know, and through life, we, of course, have so many things that we're grateful and thankful for. But I was wondering if you could just pick one story and kind of share that with the world of something that you're grateful and thankful for.
You know what? I think I'm incredibly, Lori, that's a hard one, but I'll pick one. I'm really grateful that I'm in a position, not that she needs it, but that I can really spoil my mother. You know, my mom carried me for a long time, even at different times in my adult life. And I hated it. I hated the fact that there were times in my life I needed financial help, or I needed to get bailed out, of something. And so one of the first things I did, I believe it was 2019, is I took her on a cruise to Alaska, because she'd always wanted to see that. So just her and I went, and just spoiled her. And I spoil my mother, and I take care of as much as I can for her. Not that she needs the help, she doesn't, but it's just my way. And I tell her it's my way of showing her how much I appreciated everything she's ever done for me and my kids, when we needed it. And I'm just grateful that I can go to my grave. My mom used to always say, I used to always tell my mom, Mama, when you get old, I'll take care of you. And she would just pat me on the shoulder and she say, oh, okay, honey, okay. And I know she was thinking, like, you can't even take care of yourself. And so I'm so grateful that my mom doesn't have to worry about me anymore. And she vocalizes that. And that when someday she's not with me anymore, that I know that that's not going to be a worry of hers going to the other side. And so I'm just grateful for that every day, that she's able to see what I'm doing and how I'm changing my life and my children and my grandchildren and other people around me, that she gets to experience that, because that would have been really hard on me had she not been able to see it. Like my dad, I lost my dad years ago. He didn't get to see it, but she did. And I think that's one thing every day. I'm just so grateful that I have that opportunity to have my mom see that I'm okay, and I'm going to be able to take care of myself and my children and my grandchildren and probably my great grandchildren. So that was a big deal to me, and I'll never take that for granted ever.
That's beautiful. I'm thinking, Tracy, is there some, I don't want to use the word magic, but we all have our superstitions about what we do to sort of remember Jackie Gleason and Ed Norton. Am I aging myself? Remember when he sat at the piano, Tracy, and he did that thing? We're like, what is he doing? Is there something that you do for yourself, with yourself, to yourself, to just boost yourself up before anything happens? It's like the insurance plan for Tracy.
Well, I would say I claim a lot of scripture. I claim a lot of scripture, and I've walked around my house several times claiming scripture just to get myself, prepared with the armor of God, because I believe that I personally need that every day. But I also have an affirmation that when I first started 4.5 years ago with my company, a friend of mine helped me write this affirmation. I heard Gloria Mayfield Banks, and every time she came out on a Mary Kay stage, she said her affirmation, and I wanted something really powerful. So she helped me put together this affirmation. And even on days where we all feel kicked in the gut, no matter how successful we get, it's a business kick in the gut or a personal kick in the gut, because it's called life. It's called life. And so just speaking my affirmation, and honestly, a lot of it is just claiming scripture. I mean, I see you're blessed in the background, so I'm going to say it, but I wake up every day and I quote God telling me that, if I am for you, Tracy Rodgers, who can be against you? And, perhaps you were born for a time like this. And, I have not forsaken you. So for me personally, I'm not saying it's for everybody, but for me personally, I've really learned how to really claim scripture and speak it, because we go through stages in our life where things are great. I've gone through stages where life was so good, nothing was wrong, rose-colored glasses, like it was like living the dream. And golly, you could wake up the next morning and be punched in the gut. Whether it's like I said, whether it's a personal life punch or a business punch. And I think that as women, we need to figure out, I love what you asked about that, because we need to figure out what works for us. Some women, some men, that would be the scriptures. And Some people, it would be writing in a journal. Some people, it would be just taking a walk in nature. But we need to figure out what that is for us, because pretty much on a daily basis, sometimes we have to pick ourselves up every single day and remind ourselves who we are, why we're doing what we're doing. And not everybody's going to be on our team. Not everybody's going to be on Team Tracy or Team Lori, or Team Rah. Not everybody's going to do it. And we need to be our own person that can clap as we walk by, because we know our heart and we know our mind. And so I love that question. And I'd say for me, I rely on a lot of scripture, and I rely on my affirmation. And I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't listen to a lot of radio, but I have podcasts or audible books all the time. Just because I know that I have to protect my mind. It's so easy for us to have our mind wander. And we've gone through a lot, y'all. We've all gone through a lot in the last couple of years with the pandemic, and people getting upset about politics, and now inflation, and there's a lot of things that can kind of bring us down if we let it. And so I think it's important that we protect ourselves, and whatever that looks like to you. For me, I have one TV show I watch, and it doesn't come back on until October. So I'm kind of lost right now. Yellowstone. But I tend to I try to just surround myself with as much positive as I can. And I just think that's important. But find what works for you. Like I said, if that's a walk in nature, if that's just even like Lori, just what we just went to, being able to meet a whole new group of people that have the same drive and mindset that I do, but I've never met before. And we come together, and y'all, this is what's so great. I'll just say this, is that life is a tapestry. Mm-hmm. And we need to grow our tapestry. And Lori, when I met you this weekend, you were weaved into my tapestry, and my tapestry is now getting bigger and bigger. And if we look at our life and people that we touch and people that we come into contact with and things that are happening to us, that in some way it's going to weave this amazing life tapestry together. And that's what we really we need to look at life at. Like, find what makes you strong, find what you need to rely on, and look at life and people you meet. How are they woven into your tapestry? And it really makes life pretty beautiful, actually.
Tracy, I really appreciate you not only answering the question, but sharing your deep belief and your actual ritual and what you do, because it means a lot that we can envision you and envision what you're doing as you're going through your day. There's something that we do with our show, and we sort of drop the mic and hands it over to you, if you know what I mean. So we'd like to, if you're open to that, pass the show over to you and hand you the mic. And if you have a question, I know it's on the spot, unrehearsed. If you have a question that you would like to ask Lori and I, just identify who you're asking the question to, and we'd be happy to answer you.
So Lori, I don't know a lot about you yet, but what I've heard was pretty amazing. And it sounds like your life, you've had some struggles and things. And so, and really hard struggles. The things that I've never, can't imagine. So what did you do? What did you rely on? I'm sure your listeners, have heard your story, but I would love to know, like, how did you dig deep and come out the other side?
Yeah. So I had two, well, I've had several, but so starting in January 1st of 2009, 2008, one of my resolutions was to start writing in a gratitude journal, January 1st of 2009. And so this was way before Gratitude Girls was born or even a thought. But I had the idea of, some people write Dear Diary, some people write Dear Jesus. I decided that I was going to write 5 things that I was thankful and grateful for that specific day, because everybody's thankful for, their spouse, their house, their
Right.
kids, whatever. Right. So that day, stuff that happened that day. And so I had decided to do that. And at 7 a.m. that morning, I was 5.5 months pregnant with our 5th child. And I had just announced into our Christmas cards. I send Christmas cards to everybody I know. And I had just announced it because I was in my early 40s. But I was like, I had hit the 5-month mark. And so we announced it. And I went into premature labor, and she made it 30 minutes. And I went home, and I, was crying and was like, woe is me, God, why would you do this to me? And God quickly, spanked my butt and said, you have 4 other very healthy kids that I gave you to be thankful for and grateful for. Because I was like, what am I supposed to write in this silly journal, And so that was one. And God has a way of doing that, spank you on your butt and get you back where you're supposed to be. And so that really, that time, that, it was God that lifted me up right there. Fast forward to 2013, I was out of town speaking at an event for our company, and I got a phone call that my kid's dad had passed away in a wreck that morning. And so I had 2 of my youngest kids with me and my mom. And that's the same thing, how they say God works in mysterious ways. This was the 2nd time that my mom had ever saw me speak on stage. And so it was just weird. She never left my dad. She always took care of my dad. So so it was incredible that she was there with me at that time. And I had my 2 youngest with me. And then also my 2nd child, he worked with our pastor's oldest son, but they normally didn't ride together. And for some strange reason, they rode together that day. And so he was able to be there for him. And then my oldest daughter lived out of state, so I had to call her to give her the news. But with that, at first I was very blessed to be raised in a very positive and loving and giving environment. But, getting that news, it's like all that positivity went out the window. And the same thing, I was like, God, what in the world are you doing to me? And that took a little bit longer that time to get lifted back up. But I remember someone had sent me a poem, and I now basically make it my mission to send it to any widow that I ever find. And because this poem, it's called He Is Gone, and I forget who it's by, David somebody, but it talks about basically thinking about being thankful and grateful for the years that God gave you with them, instead of being sorrowful and remorseful for the years you're not having with them, and not losing those memories. And that card dropped me to my knees, and also was the same thing, was that spank on the butt of, hey, and you've still got 4 kids that are going to go through some tragedies in their life. 1, they just lost their dad, but 2, they're going to go through other tragedies, and they're looking at you, and you have to be the example to get your butt up, get out of those bed sheets, get back in church, get back. I wasn't even going to the grocery store. I had my mom doing it all for me. We didn't get, where we live out in the country, Uber and things like that don't come to us. but I wasn't going anywhere. And so it was that was that kick in the butt there for that. And then a couple of years later, I lost my mom, and we ended up having 9 pretty close losses within 4 years, pretty much back to back. And so, but that's it. It especially after my kid's dad, my husband at the time, it was just really once I got it, it was like, you've got to do this. You've got to not only, for one, God gave you a purpose, and you're still breathing for a purpose. And you've got to be the example for your children, let alone all the people that follow you and that watch you, that are watching to see what you do with this, but especially, of course, for my children. And so now it's just, I try to, and things are still tough, things happen, still tough. But, like you said, but now I have learned more to go, okay, God, what do you want me to do with this?
Right.
Who am I supposed to help through this? Why have you brought this across my path? And, and there's still times that I, have a talk with God and like, I'm not this strong. I'm not as strong as you think I am. Right. But he knows the difference. And there's a reason and purpose. And so that's just really what I have learned to lean back on and say is, lean back on my faith and say, what is my purpose in this and what am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just reading something today. It said, I'm going to botch it up, but I'll give you the gist. Basically, like when you think, when you're going through a really, really hard time, it's not necessarily God trying to drown us. It's that he's trying to cleanse us. And that that really stuck with me because kind of like what you said, Lori, like, what's my purpose and what can I do with this? And you've done it, I don't know a lot about you yet, but I know enough that you have a lot of kind of outreaches or things that you really help other people with, widows and all kinds of stuff. And so God takes the tragedy and shows you the purpose. So Ramar, what about you? What is a way, because you seem really, girl, I'm just gonna tell you what, like, I don't know, like, I think I'm the oldest one here, but you just remind me of the cool 70s girl. You know what I mean? Like just that cool, chill 70s girl. And I just love that about you. And I don't even know you, but you just give me that incredible feeling. Like, I just want to put some daisies in my hair and wear bell bottoms. Like, you're just I'm giving you like a compliment. Like, this is like, you're amazing. I can feel the calmness right through the screen. So I would love to know, with somebody who's got just a really calming voice and kind of a calming spirit, like when you're hit, when you're punched with something personal or, business wise, or just, when we get punched in the gut, what are some things that you do to kind of help realign you?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So I was actually born in 58.
Oh, so is my husband.
So I might be the oldest one here. Yeah. So my birthday is in April on the 15th.
Oh, April.
Oh, when is your April what?
April 9th.
Okay, I'm the 15th. So happy almost birthday. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Kindred spirits and Aries. Yes. Right.
Yes.
Well, I think about my husband and I were divorced for 16 and a half years, and we got remarried 13 years ago. We married each other 3 times. I remember those 16 and a half years. And every day I thought about how he and I would get back together. And I remember the deep belief that I needed to have in the universe, in the sun, in the rain, in the dark, in God, in the bird, in anything that walked past me, to remind me that was what I had to go through and that he would come back. Now, we often talk about this, and he says, I really had no idea. I thought you were having a wonderful life. And I said, I thought you were having a wonderful life. But it took us 16 and a half years to get divorced. And so when I'm having a bad day or I get punched, I think about those days when I woke up and I said, today's the day. Today is the day. For 16 and a half years. And one of those days, Tracy, it was the day. And that was the day. And I thought, yes, I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. And I had made a personal sort of mission to myself that I wanted, when my husband came back, that I was going to be the successful woman he never knew. And I worked my butt off. And I wanted to have net worth and network. And I wanted to be this woman who went through, hell and back. Sorry to say that word, and I sort of wished it on myself, if you know what I mean. I told myself I would only grow if I lived through that. So I found a way to live through it. I found a way to present myself exactly as I wanted. And when we got back together, we used the words "till death do us part" and said, you know what, this is the third time we're getting married to each other. There is nothing after this. So when I get punched or I get a tough day, or I just hear something that I think is so far-fetched, how I'm going to respond to it, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to think about some of the toughest days of my life, in my personal life, when I was not with the man who I knew I was meant to be with. And we were oceans apart. And I just said, today's the day. I remind myself of that belief and how that hummingbird that flew across my face when I was in Club Med, and that's how I met him, that I know it is the instant of a hummingbird flying in front of you. It is a wind that can change your life. Like you said, you never know what can happen to you one way or the other. You leave the house and somehow a bird flies in front of you and you fall in love, or you leave the house and you get locked out of your house and you never get to walk back in, or you walk away from the bank and you're locked out of your bank account, right? I mean, I can just go on and list a whole bunch of things that happen to people or happen to us or family members. And you say, really, that only happens to other people. I remember the belief that I had and that I still have to this moment. No matter what is going on, no matter what injustice is done, no matter what someone believes or misbelieves or misunderstands, I know in my heart that I believe that when I have that faith, it will all work out, even if it takes longer than I expected. Like you said, Lori, sometimes it takes longer, but I just wake up and say, I believe, and I know that someone bigger than me believes in me. And that's how I can stay straight and strong.
I love that. I love that. You know what I love too is that we all have a different way, and it doesn't mean there's a right or wrong way. And I hope that people are hearing this, that each of us have our own way of handling life when we need to get up. So I just hope people listening, if you don't have your way yet, to find your way. And that can be as simple as just starting off going on a walk in nature, just so I love that. I just love women. Don't you love women in friendships? I love how much we can learn from each other. I love that we can support each other. And I love that as different as we all are, we're so much alike. Does that make sense?
Yes, well, Tracy, it's sharing that's important as well. And you said so many things that I would love to repeat them all, but I watch the show. Whenever our show is done, by the way, I've watched the show as soon as it's done. That's just what I've done for so many years. So for the women and the men and the guests and our clients and our friends and our relatives who decide to watch us and watch the replay, there's some very important highlights from tonight. Find out like who you are and your why, and know what it is that keeps us going, and know that if you did get a punch, that it's not going to knock you down. If you start to sway because you had a bad day, just go look in the mirror. Why would you let that happen? Like, why would you let that really knock you down? Because it probably isn't the toughest thing that can happen to you. There is tougher. We can all sit here and attest to whatever we think a punch is. We know that there has been tougher, so we just sort of learn to brush it off. Not to say that we're superheroes, but you find your superpower within yourself.
Yes.
And when you find it, you go and you do what you have to do. Today, it's my superpower butterfly, that this is just reminding me how the transformation of life happens in the flutter of an eyelash with your beautiful eyelashes, Tracy. You look amazing. So I would like to invite our audience to watch this show twice. There are so many, not even a golden nugget. There are just volcanoes of amazing pieces of information here. And I love that you are so open and can communicate with us, and that Lori, gosh, the fact that you were standing right there. Talk about communication. If you and I hadn't communicated, if you hadn't acted, if you hadn't been in front of Tracy, this wouldn't have happened. So we're a really great example of divine timing and just being able and being open to what could happen and what could happen next. Tracy, before we close the show, you said you're launching something, you have something new. You want to share with us, where do you see yourself in the next upcoming? I won't ask you the closing question because you'll share with us what you'd like. And then before we wrap up the show, something you want to tell us about that you're doing new, or
Well, I'm just really excited. I've been in direct sales for 35 years, and I've been on the corporate side of it for 9, where I was like the corporate VP for that side of it. And it's kind of always been a push down dream of mine, but I actually launched my very own company. And the reason I'm so excited is because I get to build a culture that is important to me, and I get to build something that resonates with me. And I know there's people out there that it'll resonate with them as well. And so we just started our pre-launch. We're going into our hard launch. Retail is available here in the next just couple of weeks. And it's an honor and a blessing to be on this side as a CEO and owner. It comes with a lot more responsibilities and a lot of different things, but I'm loving it. And I just want to leave, my footprint on this incredible industry. And, this is a legacy that I believe I was born to die with, that I can pass something on in a whole different realm. So it's either a curse or a blessing. I don't know, but I'm just really excited about it. And, it's just, we're doing great. And just to be able to touch people's lives in a whole different way. It's different. It's different being in the field. It's different being corporate. And then it's different being the owner of a company. And I'm just excited to see, I know God's taken us to big places, and I know that, there's a lot of different vehicles to get people where they want to, with their dreams. And, but I'm happy for this vehicle with me. And and again, I love that we're all in the industry, because we get to meet each other. Lori, like, how great was it to meet you and the people there that I'd never met, but now we have a connection, and we're collaborating, and our tapestry is being woven. So that's what I'm doing. I'm excited to say I'm CEO and founder of a new direct selling, direct marketing, social selling company. And we're just over the moon about it.
Thank you, Tracy. We're so happy that you can be here with us. Please hang out while we wrap up the show, and then we'll have a chat after. So Lori, this has been an interview that we don't want to end. So thank you so much again, Tracy. Lori, let's talk a little bit about, now our guests have hung in there with us. They're live. If they're going to watch us on the replay and they say, what do you mean an opportunity came up and Tracy was on the show? How does someone get with us and follow us or get onto the show? Because we have a great story about that. Can you share a little bit?
Sure, yes. So go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/gratitudegirls. Make sure you like our page, follow it. And if you want to be on our show, just like Tracy, send us a message. Tell us your gratitude story. Let us know some details about you. Give us your contact information on how best to get back with you. And we are booking in 2023 at this time. So if you would like to get on our show, we do have a bit of a waiting list, but we would love to have you on our show. And let us know also, because every once in a while we do have somebody that can't make it, like what happened this month, but not very often.
No, and just divine timing again. So thank you so much to you, Tracy, and for sharing your gifts and your vision with us. And Lori, a million kisses to you. Thank you so much. And to our audience, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. See you next month.